War. War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth. Spain built an empire from its lust for gold and territory. Hitler shaped a battered Germany into an economic superpower. But war never changes. In the 21st century, war was still waged over the resources that could be acquired. Only this time, the spoils of war were also its weapons. War. War never changes. The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted. Too many humans, not enough space or resources to go around. The details are trivial and pointless. The reasons, as always, purely human ones. War. War never changes. Since the dawn of humankind, when our ancestors first discovered the killing power of rock and bone, blood has been spilled in the name of everything from God to justice to simple psychotic rage. War. War never changes. When atomic fire consumed the earth, those who survived did so in great underground vaults. When they opened, their inhabitants set out across the ruins of the old world to build new societies, establishing villages, forming tribes.
War. War never changes. But then, in the 21st century, people awoke from the American dream. Years of consumption led to shortages of every major resource. The entire world unraveled. Peace became a distant memory. It is now the year 2077. We stand on the brink of total war. And I am afraid.
This is our chance to make war obsolete. Because in our current societal configuration, which took shape without intentional guidance, we have friction, we have conflict, and we have war. And war, well, war never changes.
You're tall, but I'm standing in front of you.
It's a podcast.
Welcome to You're Tall, but I'm Standing in Front of You, the podcast where two friends circling the drain of academia examine the cultural detritus of the 20th century. I'm Devin.
I'm Ethan.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going well. We're back to the old catchphrase. That was a bit.
Yeah.
You decided that was a bit. Okay.
I don't know. It didn't have enough specificity for me. The podcast that good people listen to obscurely or whatever.
But don't talk about. Yeah.
But don't talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. That is true. But, I just wanted I feel like people want to know what the show's about. And that's what the show's about. And then I want them to make their own decision to not talk about it. I don't want to tell them.
Yeah. Well, that's great. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. We're here. with a very special episode. And we are talking about Fallout. Fallout, the TV series, Fallout, the video game series, Fallout, the Mission Impossible sequel, maybe if we have time.
Yeah,
That was the name of one of them, right?
it was.
Uh,
Yes.
But and to do that, we are joined by two very special guests. One repeat guest, I think this is their third episode, and one first timer. It's Mike and T, folks.
Hey.
Mike Opal and T Thuman. You know Mike Opal from their appearances on our Saving Private Ryan episode and on our Oscar special. And then there's T Thuman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah.
Just sitting in the air conditioning.
Yeah, it's hot in Philadelphia. What's the weather like in former Manhattan Project site that you live in, Ethan Smith?
It's in the 70s. It's sort of windy today, which is always good when you live downstream from the first full-scale nuclear reactor. It's, so
Yeah.
go outside, breathe in that air. Yeah.
Little tease for later in the episode, but Ethan visited that reactor this past weekend.
Yeah.
And so we'll be getting some live reports from from how Fallout could become a reality. But first, let's talk about Fallout as a work of fiction. So, some of you listeners have probably watched the new Amazon Prime series about Fallout. If you haven't, there's also the many games: Fallout 1, 2, 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. Right, this long-running series of these kind of post-apocalyptic role-playing game meets shooter meets like sandbox wanderer game. And I thought we could, before getting into the show, talk a little bit about what our relationship is to Fallout as an overall franchise, or what we knew going into the show, what our relationship was like to it before. So Ethan, do you want to start?
Sure. I was really big into the original Fallout and then Fallout 2. And it's probably I don't remember exactly how I was introduced to it. What I'm going to imagine it was is that I like just randomly was at the mall and you go to EB Games and you just browse.
Yeah.
You would browse video games. You didn't know what they were about.
It was like Netflix was real, It was like you just went and you looked at all the little things.
Yeah. And the box must have appealed to me because I'm like, this is my jam. This looks great. It's a post-nuclear role-playing game. And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. They got the power armor on the front of it. So was really into Fallout, then was into Fallout 2 as well when that came out, I think in 1999. And then played Fallout 3 when we were both in college, Devin. Had some reservations about it because it was such a shift from the original kind of games. They went 3D with Fallout 3,
and it's first person. Fallout 1 and 2 aren't first person, right? Is it more like, I've never actually played them, is it more kind of like a StarCraft kind of situation, or what? I mean, just very generally, what are the mechanics like?
Yeah, so it's essentially it's like an isometric video game, and so it's 2D graphics that are styled to look 3D, which is essentially how they did things like StarCraft as well. So you essentially it's like 30 different pictures of a person rotating around that then would be used to make it look like it's 3D when it's not. So like Disco Elysium is probably the newer example of a game that uses that same kind of approach. And so the great thing is like they really hold up well, because it isn't this like N64 style 3D graphics. And actually, after watching the show, I went back and picked back up Fallout 1, and like it actually holds up quite well visually in addition to the story. So yeah, that was a big switch that caused a lot of controversy when Bethesda took over for Fallout 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's essentially, my understanding is like Fallout 3 is like a completely different game essentially, but you're using like the world and the iconography of Fallout 1 and 2, but like gameplay wise, it's like totally different, right?
I mean, not totally different. They tried to incorporate some things from the first two Fallouts, and like the combat, you can like pause and zoom in on different body parts. But I mean, the original, the first two Fallouts were, I mean, essentially you could think of it almost like a Dungeons and Dragons system. So it's all turn-based. You have these different stats. It really is a role-playing game in that way. And Fallout 3 is where it started to shift more towards like an action adventure sort of, because they had done the Morrowind and Skyrim and all that is what Bethesda's whole deal was, and kind of started to shift more towards that. I feel like you have gotten less and less of the quote role-playing game aspect in each iteration of Fallout, and more of the almost like a slide towards like FPS kind of game with each iteration.
Yeah, because I my first exposure to the Fallout franchise was Fallout 3, which I think, came out when we were in college. And I absolutely loved that game. I think I played like 150 plus hours of Fallout 3. Yeah. So I didn't have any of the, the sensation of, things have changed or anything.
Casual, right? Just a casual gamer there.
Casual 150 hours.
And we'll get we'll get all into this later.
Absolutely, But Fallout 3, when I was playing it in college, I was like, this is the best game I've ever played, right? I
remember
absolutely loved it. And I think it was really, for me, at a sweet spot of open world games, where it was like one of the first really big feeling open world games I had played. But we weren't yet in that era, like I feel we are today, where like almost every AAA video game title is open world, whether it's like Red Dead Redemption 2 or the current Zeldas or Grand Theft Auto or what have you. And now I actually find myself longing for the days of like linear gameplay because it's like decision fatigue, right? But at the time it was like, wait, I can go anywhere. I don't have to follow the main storyline. And, I had played like games like Final Fantasy that had side quests, but never something that felt this immersive, right? And the first person nature of it, I think, was a big part of that for me. So I absolutely loved Fallout 3. Played a lot of New Vegas too. My thing when New Vegas came out was I was like, oh, they're just doing the same thing again. This is the same engine. This is just more missions. And then I played that game for like 150 hours. So like, for all I complained about it, I did apparently enjoy it. But I have not played anything since then. It was like I had like a few years where I put like 300 hours into those two Fallout games, and then I got to say, watching this show, it was like really hard not to like steal a car and drive to the nearest EB Games, which is probably like 7,000 miles away, and 20 years in the past, to buy a copy of like Fallout 4 or whatever. T, what about you?
So I never actually played the first two Fallout games. I like got into it at Fallout 3, and I was really, really into that. And then I kind of played some of New Vegas. But Fallout 4 was definitely like the big one for me. I was like really into the Arkham games, and I was really into GTA. So like between the gadgets and the open world, I think Fallout 4 kind of like really was scratching my video game itch at the time. Yeah, and after watching this show, I definitely like picked it back up again and like recreated a character, and I think I'm probably gonna play it again. But
is that in Boston, Fallout 4?
Yeah. Yeah, that one was.
I mean, one of the only Fallout games in which the city is actually better than it is in real life. Mike, what about you?
So I have also only like seriously played Fallout 4. I picked it up during quarantine at T's insistence, because we needed something to do. And so I had known about these games for a while. Like I had been told like in college, the music, the radio is so fantastic.
The radio's
it's actually, I got into the Andrews Sisters before I got into Fallout because of Fallout. But I ended up playing like an enormous amount of Fallout 4 during quarantine. Got really into it. And then I tried to play Fallout 3, but I just found it I kind of bounced off of it just because of the engine, and that it wasn't it's a little sparer in its design. and so it just like wasn't what I was like looking for. And then I also tried to play Fallout 76 because I heard John Carpenter is like he's always in that world,
That's so funny.
and I was just like, I wonder if
Huh.
I could find him.
Oh, like he
Um,
literally plays it.
He plays it like he's like really into
Ah.
Fallout 76, and so he's like always playing. And I was like bored at 2 a.m. and I was like, I wonder if John Carpenter is like
Out
there.
out there killing rad roaches or whatever. Um,
Oh my god.
oh, that was basically it until the show. Until the show, and then I also started kind of playing again. I tried to play on survival mode this time.
Ugh.
Yeah. We need to have a John Carpenter cameo in Fallout Season 2. Like, he should just be, like, walking by at some point.
It'd be a fitting final role. Oh, yeah. Well, he's
Jeez.
it's the only thing. It's the only.
You're
thing,
gonna kill him. That's
it's
what
the
you mean.
only thing that could bring
Ooh.
back into the cinematic fold.
Sure.
Well,
Threatening.
so anyway, let's get into this show a little bit. So Ethan and I decided to put this episode on the calendar months ago, before this show had actually dropped. Because, you know, we had so much history with the games, we loved the games in various ways, and we're like, oh man, Amazon's doing a Fallout show. That's going to be a disaster. That'll be like so fun to do an episode about and talk about like what a shit show it is. And then unfortunately the show came out, and at least I think it's like actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
So like, what did y'all think of it? Just kind of like zoomed out generally. What was your experience like watching Fallout?
I also presumed that it would be like a train wreck. And so we put it on
Yeah, just for shits and giggles, and then
Yeah, like you have to try it. And
that's a fan. Yeah.
the first 2 episodes I think are bad, but then it gets really good.
Yeah.
What about you, Ethan?
I think similar to everyone else, I assumed it wouldn't be great. I went in. I saw some of the earlier reviews saying it was really good, and that surprised me. So I went in, and I was actually like a little let down with it not being phenomenal off the bat, because I had all these like 97, 98% reviews. But I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed watching through the not TV show.
Well, this is sort of the thing, right? Because it's like television is like, I don't really like television, I have to say. Like, and when I say that, I really mean like contemporary, like streaming TV isn't really my thing, right? Because like the episode doesn't really seem to exist as a form any longer. Like, you look back at even like, you know, early prestige TV stuff like The Sopranos, it's not actually as like plot driven episode to episode as like you remember it being. Like, there are arcs that you remember, but when you go back and watch Sopranos, it feels a lot more like watching like it feels a lot more like watching the last television show than like the first prestige TV series to me, like in like the 90 cents of a TV show. And then it just feels like there's so much, like so many streaming shows just need to exist to like fill the hours of content, right?
Yeah, and I mean, my biggest issue when I would be watching that like prestige TV, I can't even do it because I get so angry because I'm watching the actors act, and I'm like, they're getting fucking residuals. So that's one thing I really love about the streaming, is you don't have to worry about that. So there is that, and it's just content for forever and ever.
Absolutely.
So like when did episodes all become 80 minutes long? I kind of missed this. Like when we turned on Fallout, and I was just like, oh my God, these are all movies, like each episode.
Yeah. I feel like it was kind of a slow creep.
Yeah.
And this is we talked about this before, Devin, we had a chance to end this. We talked about this with Rebel Moon, how it's now part 1 and part 2, and every single Rebel Moon is going to be split into a part 1 and part 2, they've decided now. And I talked about how we could have ended this with like when they did that with Twilight and Harry Potter, but no one was brave enough to speak up, so now we're stuck with it. I think it might have been like Game of Thrones that started us on this path, because they're like, hey, we're going to randomly have only like 3 episodes this season, and they're going to be between 24 minutes and 98 minutes.
This is the thing, right? With like the HBO shows, like Game of Thrones, but also like the older ones, like Sopranos and 6 Feet Under and shows like that. Because HBO doesn't have like commercials, it's not on cable or networks, right? Well, it is. No, it is on cable, but because it's like a premium cable channel that doesn't have commercials in the conventional sense. They would give their shows the freedom to, if there was an episode that like demanded some extra length, you could do it. And then actually, I think like initially it had like a very like good kind of like creativity driven purpose, where it was like, not every episode needs to be the exact same number of minutes, right? There can be like particular episodes that are maybe very important or that have like big set pieces or whatnot. And they're sometimes like 10 minutes longer, right? So you would kind of like, when you open them up to watch, you're not always sure how long it's going to be. And then in the streaming era, that seems to have morphed into just, as Ethan and I have talked about a lot with like Rebel Moon and stuff, even with the films, right? This sort of like allergy to editing, the allergy to formal concision, right? Just like the sense of like, well, we have these shots, we might as well use them, right? And this is, I guess, part of my just general like kind of ennui with streaming television has been feeling like everything's just sort of, it's always kind of just pushing you towards the next episode, right? But somehow Fallout worked for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's hitting the like particular little like niche fandom that I'm a part of, and so I'm like overlooking these things. But I did find myself sitting and being like, oh, I'm actually like excited to watch this episode. It doesn't quite feel as much like what so much streaming TV feels like to me, which is like a 3-hour thing stretched out into like 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
How did you guys feel about like the pacing of it specifically?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, like Mike was saying earlier, the first couple episodes felt a little slow going, I think, because of all the like Brotherhood stuff. Like that kind of seemed to drag on longer than it needed to. But everything else, like, I felt like the pacing was pretty good. I was never like really distracted away from the show or like bored of what I was watching.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it really didn't feel like second screen content, you know? To me the pacing was really bad in the first 2 episodes, which are the Jonathan Nolan ones, just because like it keeps like cross-cutting between all of the different stories in a way that just like wasn't motivated.
Right.
But then then they drop that, and just like for the last what 6 episodes, it's like, we're just gonna do this character and we're just gonna stick with them for this arc.
Yeah. Or maybe some episodes like you have 2 of the plot lines but not the third. Like not everyone needs to be in every episode in equal amount, right?
Yeah. Felt like really busy and also kind of slow and boring when they would try to do
everything.
Yeah, it actually reminds me, I watched like Sense8 recently, the Wachowski show, which is like one of like the first streaming TV series, right? And it really has that problem, right? Because Sense8 is all about like these interconnected 8 characters, and they sat down and were like, we're going to make a 5-season TV show. But what they're really doing is making a movie that is like 50 hours long. Right. And they're applying like movie pacing just stretched out. So like no episode makes any sense. Like, so one of the 8 central characters spends the entire first season just like occasionally being shown like looking sad in a coffee shop until like at the last minute you find out her like tragic past. And I think that is like a problem. And I think, Jonathan Nolan is definitely a part of this with like shows like Westworld that he's been a part of. Though I do love Person of Interest, I want to say, despite all of the behind camera abuse by that Jesus guy, Jim, whatever, however you say his last name. But that's a network show. So I think that imposed restrictions on him that like he had to do like kind of conventional TV stuff that I actually kind of like am nostalgic for. Whereas like once he's doing, the kind of like the prestige streaming stuff or the HBO stuff, that goes away, and you get these kind of like incoherent pacing decisions and whatnot. But so glad he only directed the first two.
I will say I feel like the ending of the season seemed a bit rushed. I was sort of like, how are they going to wrap this all up in one episode? And then it was kind of like, oh, they're just going to cram it in there, be like, let's just get this over with.
Yeah, a lot of like last minute revelations. It did kind of feel like. But I think what the show for me most excelled at was when it was just sort of, I was just kind of in the world and marinating in it, and I wasn't that concerned with the plot, which is when it most was like getting me in the like Fallout 3 zone of just like, oh, this is like a cool world. I kind of know the rules of this world because of my background with the games. And like it's just kind of cool to like walk around it, and there's even a character I think that says something at some point to like one of the characters. It's like a one time like kind of extra character, but they say something like about how like anytime you try to like do something here, like some bullshit shows up and distracts you or whatever. Which really is like the experience of playing Fallout 3 for me is like occasionally being like, okay, I got to go do this main story point. And then I start walking there, and then I like, encounter some like open vault covered in blood where like, and then you go in and it's like, oh, like, a robot slaughtered all the people in here or something. Or like a little kid runs up to you and is like, can you help me? And then dies of radiation poisoning or like, these kind of like just weird, or like the tableaus that you find of like the skeletons of like seeing what people were doing right before the bombs went off, which you do get some of that in this show as well. Like that to me is when I'm like the happiest. I didn't really care that much about like, I actually didn't understand what was going on at the end. With like, I don't understand how some of these people are alive, which maybe we could get into that now we can get into some of the more plot specifics, but at the end, there's various characters who are like still alive from like 250 years ago, and I was like, I don't really understand. Are they all ghouls? But some of them look
normal,
really good.
Right.
Like,
I checked before we came on. I checked the wiki because one character was alive, and I was like, wait, she can't still be alive. Did I miss?
Right.
Are you thinking of the what's her name? The
Moldy,
the baddie?
like the baddie.
Yeah. I didn't understand what was going on with her either.
I don't think it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But I was thinking maybe because just to get into some of the more specifics of the show, there are kind of three central characters. I hesitate to call them protagonists, but I guess they essentially are, especially by the end, that we meet in this and follow at different points in this series. So I thought maybe we could just kind of go through each of them in turn to give us like a slice of this 8-episode series to talk about at a time. So first and most prominently, of course, we have Lucy the Vault Dweller.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've played the games, you, I think, always play a Vault Dweller. Is that true for 1 and 2, Ethan?
I mean, it's true for 1 and 2 and 3. It's not true for New Vegas.
Oh, who do you play as in New Vegas?
A courier.
Oh, well, whatever. You usually play as a Vault Dweller. And the Vault Dwellers, like if you've seen any of the iconography from Fallout, it's like the 1950s, like Big Boy Burgers looking guy with like in the blue and yellow with the thumbs up and the happy-go-lucky attitude. They're these people that live in these vaults, right, that were sort of like built before this nuclear war that wiped out most of civilization. And we meet Lucy at the beginning, and she's just kind of part of this world, right? This weirdly like 1950s Leave It to Beaver-ish kind of, but still like weirdly dark society in the vaults. And essentially the series takes off when a swap, like they swap people between different vaults so that people can fuck each other, basically, is my understanding. Keep the gene pools mixing. And they do that with a vault, and it turns out that the people they're swapping with aren't really vault dwellers. They're like raiders from the surface world. A bunch of people get killed. Lucy's father, played by Kyle MacLachlan, gets kidnapped, And so she ventures onto the surface. So this is like a very classic sort of Fallout game protagonist thing to be doing. Like you start the game in the vault, and then you kind of like emerge into the world. So no need to go over like every intricacy of everything that happens to Lucy, but thoughts about like Lucy as a character, Lucy's arc, the kind of like the tone that they try to hit with Lucy.
I mean, this is one way I've heard it described. We're going to talk about Lucy, we're going to talk about Maximus, we're going to talk about the Ghoul, and I've heard it described that like each of those characters in that order is kind of the 3 builds of character you do as you play Fallout 3 different times. So you always sort of start with the Vault Dweller, then you got the tank, and then you got the crazy like maybe bad guy. And so, but Lucy is that quintessential Fallout character that part of what makes it work is it's sort of a fish out of water, which makes you kind of think about the Fallout world as it is, because they are this naive person who has been totally cut off from the post-apocalyptic world that is now venturing forth. And so that's I think where a lot of the humor comes. And I thought they played it well. They didn't play it up too much. It could have gotten really annoying with it constantly being like, I'm so naive, but they get over that pretty fast when she realizes that like everything out here is trying to kill you. And so I think they did a good job of balancing that fish out of water approach with her character as it progressed. So good job.
Yeah, and the performance I think is like really sustained and like very funny. Probably I think consistently like my favorite performance in the show, and like oh yeah, that's it.
Good performance.
Yeah, no, I think she's great. Yeah, like there's the line about like how she hasn't had sex besides cousin stuff very early that like really lands like. And I do, she is kind of central to like what I think is kind of an ideology that the Fallout series as a whole has, right? Which is like a very pessimistic view of the world and an idea of the world as being really rough, right? And Lucy is the character who's like trying to do good, right? And attempts to do good and attempts to help people and trust people are often punished in Fallout.
Well, it's the thing also, I think the Maximus character sums it up really well. The larger themes of Fallout is he has the line of like, everyone wants to save the world, we just disagree on how, which to me really emphasizes a lot of the different camps in the Fallout universe. With the Brotherhood of Steel, and we talk about like the Enclave and the Vault Dwellers, and then Vault Tags. Everyone sort of wants to save their version of the world, and what that in many instances means is like genocide and terrible things. But everyone's kind of going at it in these different ways, and so I'll be curious to talk with you, Devin, on the flip side about where I feel like that message plays and where it doesn't play out in the video game series. But it's definitely kind of, I think, under the surface with the show.
Yeah. And so speaking of those different factions, we've also got the Brotherhood of Steel, right, who you just mentioned. Yeah. And we get, I think, like just like kind of a glimpse of what exactly the Brotherhood of Steel are in the show. But they're like this kind of like monastic order with like some like Knights Templar vibes, I guess. They have these like they're not allowed to fuck. I don't even think they're allowed to jack off. Like because later Maximus talks about like his penis in very strange
terms.
Like he doesn't actually know what an erection or coming are, but he's like, yo, you're not. That's like a bad thing. Like if you touch your penis, it gets cool. Like big and then it like pops like a pimple. It's gross.
No, yeah.
But there's kind of like this regimented system of like squires, and I don't know does anyone know what it's called if you're under a squire? Like what Maximus starts as?
I don't.
Just a recruit or something.
Yeah. And then knights, right? And the knights are the guys that get to wear like the badass armor that you see on the cover of pretty much every Fallout game. And then you spend the entire game so excited to get, and then you get it and you realize it makes your character walk really slow and it's not worth it because you're high enough level then that you can just like jump around in like a tuxedo. But we follow this guy Maximus, right, who starts as like just like a recruit, and ends up becoming a squire when this other character who's supposed to be becoming a squire, their like foot gets fucked up because there's like razor blades in their boot, and there's speculation that Maximus put them there. I guess it's eventually revealed that they put them there themselves. But then he becomes the squire to the knight. What is his name? Titus, is it?
Yeah.
Who's played by what's that fucker's name?
Michael Rappaport.
With a very, very funny cameo. And then he lets Titus die at one point and like kind of takes over the armor. And he's trying to get him. We should have mentioned this earlier, right? But like kind of the MacGuffin of the show is that actually the guy from Person of Interest, who's only in like 1 or 2 episodes, like his dismembered head has something in it, right? We don't really know what it is for a long time, but it is an object that all these different factions want for whatever reason. And Lucy's trying to get it to get her dad back. Maximus is trying to get it because he's like, oh, well, I fucked up. But if I come back with the head, with the target, as they call it, I'll be absolved and I will be accepted as like a knight in the Brotherhood, right? But yeah, thoughts about Maximus, thoughts about like the Brotherhood of Steel, maybe in general, their sort of position in this world, their response to its conditions.
I mean, it's very funny to me that like the show reflects basically my experience of playing Fallout, which is like the Brotherhood is awful. Like it's easy technology for like a character to get, but like everything about it is just like terrible from the ground up. The show has nothing. There's no kind of positive value to the Brotherhood really throughout the entire show. They're just kind of like, tyrants and like creeps and freaks and as naive as the Vault Dwellers with an attachment to like a much more violent set of principles. And so like, cause like Titus he's attached to the Brotherhood, or he wants to be a knight because like a knight was present when he was a kid, like kind of saved him, although exactly how the knight saved him was kind of unclear.
Maximus, you mean though, right?
Oh yeah, Maximus.
Yeah. Who masquerades as Titus for most of the show.
Right, because like the name I guess attaches to like the armor basically. And so like he kind of gets his own kind of education of an innocent, but it's funny to me that the show like just has nothing positive to say about what is like a really important, kind of faction or alignment.
Yeah, because it feels like it's like Maximus for part of the show, right? His idea is like, oh, like when things got to shit, it was like the knights who saved me. But the show seems to think that it's like, well, the knights are part of why things go to shit, right? They're sort of like this like fascist, hyper violent, oppressive power, right? That again, like they want to save the world, right? But only in terms of like total control and obedience and what have you.
Right.
Well, and one thing that to me is going to speak to my larger commentary about Fallout as a series is the problem with the Brotherhood of Steel. It's to me, it's almost like if anyone has ever played Warhammer 40,000 or is familiar with that series, where the whole point of that series which is a tabletop game that the Space Marines and all that come from Warhammer 40K. And the whole point was the tagline is, in the grim darkness of the future, there is only war. And the whole point was like, let's imagine a future in which things are as terrible as it could be, where like Earth is run by this like theocratic, like totalitarian awfulness. But over time, people are like, oh, the Space Marines look cool. And it starts to become this thing where they're like, oh, this cool, where eventually you get like the memes of Donald Trump is the God Emperor, and like the tweens who are posting about it. They think it's like super, super dope. And to me, it's sort of this issue with the Fallout franchise where the Brotherhood of Steel is essentially that power armor. And so they're they're cool because you get to wear that power armor. And I think because of that, especially as Bethesda took over things, like the Brotherhood of Steel just has to keep being around. It can't fall apart under its own weight because it's essentially a selling point for people who are like, oh, power armor, that looks really cool. So there you have that.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's kind of funny because like you're talking about how the different characters are the different builds, right? That people might do, and it's like I see that read, but I guess it kind of it doesn't. The show and the game don't have like that effect on me because my experience of playing the game has always been like, oh, the Brotherhood of Steel are losers. I don't like playing as a tank. That's boring. Right. I want to play like our third character, the Ghoul, right? Which is to say, where just stuff that looks cool and just fuck shit up, right? Is the play style I tend to. I had one playthrough of Fallout 3 where I just like killed everyone. Like I killed there are certain characters you can't kill. They just like because they're plot required, so they just like resurrect. But like you would just go to every town in this playthrough and it would just be desolate except for like the one shopkeeper. And there's definitely a shootout with the Ghoul that very much reminded me of those. But we have the Ghoul who's, maybe the most complex character because we experience him in multiple timelines. So he is a Ghoul, which if you've played the games, they're kind of like these zombie-esque characters. But they can be feral or not. So like the feral ones are like, like mindless enemies that you just have to kill. They have like fucked up skin and shit due to like radiation exposure. The way radiation works, it makes you into like an immortal monster. Or there could be ones that are not feral and that have like personalities and stuff. And so we have this one who is known within the world of the future merely as the Ghoul, but we also get the backstory to this world via this character because during like it's not like our time because Fallout kind of exists in this weird parallel universe where like technology advanced, but everything kind of stayed 1950s ish. Also, like it's kind of like this weird like. I don't know, like Looney Tunes House of the Future world. But he's this actor, Cooper Howard, right? And we get the sense that he was kind of like this like famous kind of Western leading man. And his wife works for Vault-Tec, who are the company that is putting all the vaults in place, and who it is revealed have a vested interest in nuclear war not being averted. And then
Can you imagine
simultaneously
that? Can you imagine that?
Crazy.
And then simultaneously we follow him as this kind of like ghoulish bounty hunter type who he's initially going after the head that the other characters are interested in just for money, right? Because he needs money to get the vials that keep him from going feral. Right. But sort of ends up slotting into a more like anti-hero position and kind of aligning with Lucy as the show goes. And he of course is played by one of our favorite actors on the podcast, Walton Goggins. Thoughts about the Ghoul and Cooper Howard and this whole Vault-Tec conspiracy plot?
I thought it was a lot of fun because it was like when playing Fallout 4, you definitely get some bits and bobs of like backstory on Vault-Tec, but it was nice to watch the show and see it kind of like, just, I don't know, play around with that idea a little bit more about like what happened leading up to everything. And then to have the same character kind of follow through the show was like also pretty cool.
It's interesting to get like, as you said, like a sustained narrative about Vault-Tec, because you definitely get the sense through the games that like Vault-Tec is not like a good company, right? But I feel like it's always a little bit through kind of like implication. Like it's like you go into the vault and you're like, oh, they were doing a weird experiment in here. I can glean that from, it's that kind of storytelling that the games do where you stumble upon something and you kind of reconstruct what must have led to this. but we've never, as far as I know, seen just like a narrative of like the past that led to the Fallout worlds before. And it's interesting to see them doing that. And I didn't realize it was going to involve so much like seeming immortality of various people existing in both these timelines.
Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job threading it in the first season. I'd be curious as things go on what they do with it, because to me it's sort of like with like an Alien. They don't mention Wayland Yutani, they just call it the company. And then it's, in Aliens, it's Wayland Yutani, and by the time you get to like Prometheus, you're like, oh my god. Or Alien versus Predator,
a great movie. Alien versus Predator, a great movie.
Your father's favorite.
Yeah, what tied for third or tied for first with Drumline and the remake of The Alamo.
Yeah. So, but it's a risk you take, I think, when you do start to get into, when it doesn't become this kind of shadowy thing that's just in the background noise. I do think they do a pretty good job with it, where there are, significant revelations of what the fuck Vault Tech is actually doing, while it still is interesting, maybe because that's kind of pertained to flashbacks. So I don't know if it will get less interesting when we see what exactly Kyle MacLachlan is up to in season 2 and what's going on with that. But I think they thread it pretty well in season 1.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I kind of I like him in his original kind of the 2077 side of the story. When it comes to the actual Ghoul side, he's like looking for his wife, who he thinks will still be alive.
I think he thinks his daughter's still alive too. Like he's saying, "Well, where's my family?"
Right. But I had a question about, since I haven't played the first 3, like about the lore, which is also kind of a plot question. Can we talk about the ending?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched the television show but have watched the first hour of this podcast.
So part of the show thematizes like the confusion of who's immortal and who's not, because Maximus remembers when the bombs fell, and people are like, you couldn't remember because you're young. So like how like you've been like told a different story.
Right?
Well, so Maximus remembers it's a different dropping of the bombs, though.
Right, but the people are like, you couldn't remember that.
Oh, I thought they thought he was remembering like the initial bombs, like in like 2077.
Right, they are. And so that means that like he doesn't realize, or like people think he's immortal, or he like thinks he's, because it's Lucy that like confronts him about like, you couldn't remember the bombs falling because that.
Well, that's because Lucy doesn't know there have been multiple instances of nuclear warfare. She only knows about like the initial one. But then it's revealed that like there have been like there was like kind of then a resurgence of society in California. And then I forget even who did it. Ethan, do you remember? But like it's revealed that it was also bombed.
Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan.
Again, and that's when Maximus is a kid, right?
Right.
But you've also got like the villain, the initial villain, who like steals Kyle MacLachlan, whose name I cannot remember. The M name that we said before.
Moldaver.
Sorry. So Moldaver, who's kind of like positioned as the villain initially, is also revealed to have been like alive during 2077.
Right.
As was Kyle MacLachlan, as were like a number of these people. And I guess it's a little unclear to me how that works. Ethan, do you have thoughts about this? Did you have a sense of how this was working?
I mean, I don't think we're meant to know as of yet, and who knows if the showrunners even know. Obviously for a few of them, it's because they were put into cryostasis to have to supply Earth's middle management into the post-apocalyptic future. It's not clear where Moldaver comes from. So I think that might be left open to question for future seasons. Why the Ghoul's family would still be alive. That's also unclear.
Maybe I guess like he might have had some kind of deal where they should have been in cryostasis or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, I guess, like what we find out is like the big Vault Tech conspiracy is it's like essentially this metaphor for like technocracy, right? It's like this belief in like the power of management. And then you've got the Brotherhood of Steel, who are sort of like more like the power of sort of like this like older, like, you know, totalitarian mode of governance. And then it's like through Cooper's backstory, Cooper Howard's, like we get the sense he's had like flirtations with communism at least, and that like he possibly like kind of became like his career kind of fell apart because of them, perhaps. Like we don't have full detail on that yet. But I do find myself worried that like it feels like it's only a matter of time before in this show that like the liberal shoe is gonna drop. Because like there are all these like exposés about like there's characters talking about fiduciary responsibility and how like, you know, capitalism necessarily motivates this company to like produce a outcome of nuclear apocalypse, and that all sounds like really cool, but I have to imagine the show's ultimately going to present like a solution to that problem. If it does, that like an ideological solution that is just knowing Jonathan Nolan's behind it is going to be some like dumb lib shit. But I mean, I guess I shouldn't. I'm just like bracing myself.
No, it's
like
obviously
that. You know,
it's
the
gonna
kind of turn that like Mr. Robot took. If any of you watched that show, like it started with all this like hackers and fuck capitalism energy, and then it literally like the final monologue of Mr. Robot is basically the character telling you to vote for Hillary Clinton. Like I'm just like I'm worried something like that is coming down the pipe, I guess.
Or it will be Jonathan Nolan's grand arcing theme, which is the importance of a vanguard party. Because if you have any semblance of Vault Tech left, these counter-revolutionaries, they will inevitably drop the nukes again as soon as they have a chance. And so that's not going to be what happens. So I think you're right to be worried, but hey, who knows? Maybe this Amazon Prime original show will not be that.
Yeah, man, I didn't realize Christopher Nolan was knighted. So he's Sir Christopher Nolan, you know.
Wow.
Just looking at Jonathan Nolan's and Emma Thomas is a dame now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which is left wing critique of nuclear bombs by a Nolan brother, Fallout or Oppenheimer?
This is a good question. Right? Because, you know, we weren't big fans of Oppenheimer on this show. I gotta say, so far, Fallout has taken the cake for me. Because at least it's not just, like, hung up on, like, somebody losing their security clearance. That's not, like... We didn't have an entire episode about that.
It is kind of funny that both of them turn on, like, whether people are actually communists. Because, like, the Moldaver is, like, back in 2077, it's like, they call us communists, but we're not. We're not.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, like, the creeping in of the lib stuff. But, maybe I do prefer Fallout to Oppenheimer.
Well, yeah, you get the sense that it's like the Nolans have no interest in like contemporary communist thought, right? Like communism to the Nolans is like a metonym for like the Soviet Union and its associated allies during the Cold War, right? Like that's communism and it lost, so thus like you can't be a communist today. That wouldn't make any sense, right? Like I think even if you could get like the Nolans to like agree point by point to like a like contemporary communistic manifesto, I don't think they would be like mentally capable of like identifying themselves with anything that calls itself communism. But
Yeah, that's where there's the one line that I think the Moldaver character says in the flashback. This she says, "I'm not a communist, Mr. Howard." That's just a dirty word they use to describe people who aren't insane. And I could very much see that being like the future of it being that actually no, there are no communists. We're just looking out for each other. But isn't that really what capitalism is? So I think that I don't see it. I don't see it going well in the future. But hey, again, who knows? Who knows?
yeah. Well, but let's I guess hold our horses. Let's not judge the show for sins not yet committed. And so Mike and T, before we play the game that Ethan has prepared for us, we wanted to ask you how you would rate the show for us. And we have a big surprise for the listeners. Given this show and the presence of Walton Goggins on it, we are unretiring the Walton Goggins rating system from season 2 of the podcast and bringing it back for just one episode only. So, Mike and T, how do you rate Fallout Season 1 in terms of Walton Goggins?
How can I phrase this? I rate it as the one time I saw Walton Goggins in the Dallas airport.
Ooh.
Whoa!
I was
Wow.
right. It was I went into the airport with low expectations of my time there, and then bam, Walton Goggins. And it's just like this show.
Fantastic.
That is objectively the worst airport as well. So that must have been a real pick me up.
Very
It was
That's
it's
incredible.
to this day, obviously.
T, what about you?
I think I'm just gonna go for a solid 4 out of 5 Goggins.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. That's a very respectable score.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got a very special game to play today. Devin, I built this off of, if you recall, what I think that we can both agree was the best game that we ever had, which was our Star Wars
Absolutely.
Holiday Special game, where we...
I have told Mike to listen to that episode multiple times just because of the game.
Yeah, but then-
we're...
Give me a detailed description of the entire game.
Yeah, it was all about... can you figure out which of these names is or isn't from Star Wars? So it's like, is Glob Shido actually a character in Star Wars or not? With surprising results. So
Just quick interjection. Luke with 2 U's is the name of a character.
yeah, Luke
Skywalker.
Skywalker. Yeah,
As is Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones.
Like Mr. is a title that they use.
I guess so.
Sure appears to be. So
That is one of the weird things about like fictional universes like that. Like what, like they'll want to do like the thing where it's like, oh, it's like a gangster movie, but in Star Wars, and then all of a sudden it's like people wear fedoras and like talk this way, and you're like, wait, are there just like fedora guys just walking around the Star Wars universe? Like,
oh, so in that vein, I've got several multiple choice questions. Some of them have to do with characters from Fallout or the background behind Fallout. So let's go right into it. There are 6 questions in round 1, and then there will be a bonus round 2. So be prepared. What I will ask that you do is that you lock in your responses, and don't worry, audience. We have a tried and true way to ensure that all responses are locked in. Don't worry about it. You can trust us on this. So then we will share our answers and our explanation why we think this is the case or why the other answers are definitely not the case. And then I will reveal the correct answer to each of these multiple choice questions. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just to start things off. First question, and I love that none of us have played Fallout 1 or 2 because that was really where my head was at in making these. So that probably makes it better. The question is, what was the name of the President of the United States of America, or really just the Enclave, but self-professed President of the United States of America in 2242? Is it Swarth Manley, Dick Richardson, N.U.A. Schroeder, or Bray Radbury?
So these are all great answers. Swarth Manley is giving me real like Star Wars vibes, which makes me think it's made up. The other three, I mean, all of these are really on the nose, right? So it's tricky because Fallout is like kind of an on the nose franchise a bit. Like there will be jokes that are like really apparent. So like Bray Radbury, which is obviously just, switching Ray Bradbury's name around, seems obviously wrong. But it could be right? But I'm going to go Dick Richardson. And, because it really just is like an American president name. And I feel like it's kind of in line with the sort of like, I don't know, the kind of humor that I vaguely remember from the Fallout games. Having someone that kind of like, has that classic kind of Nixonian name seems right to me. So I'm going Dick Richardson.
Okay. Michael.
I also picked Dick Richardson for a similar reason. It sounds presidential, but like the joke is on the character. Whereas Ennui Schroeder or Bray Radbury, I didn't think would be the case.
I went with Bray Radbury. They're all, like you said, they're all kind of on the nose, but it felt, I guess I wasn't thinking of it as like, a joke on the character, but like it just felt like a Fallout joke.
Yeah, absolutely. So the correct answer here is Dick Richardson, who was the president of the Enclave. And I won't tell you who. No, I will tell you who voiced him because that's not in one of the later questions where we talk about voice actors. He was voiced by Jeffrey Jones.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah, who you may know from.
No. I was like, who is that? And I'm like,
you may know from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or what's that Western? Yeah.
The sexual predators database.
Yeah. Which kind of tracks because the president is not a good dude. So there's that. We'll return to the voice actors later. So that means that Devin and Michael, you each have 1 point on the board of which I am writing up right now.
It's crazy that you bought a real chalkboard for this.
It's important.
This isn't even like a visual medium. I appreciate it.
You can tell the difference. Okay, for our next question, you're going to have to identify which of the following is not a robot from the Fallout franchise. Is it? Again, which one of these is not? The other ones are. Is it Mr. Gutsy, a combat medicine robot? Nukatron, a mobile Nuka-Cola machine? Watts 01 or Watts 01, a detective robot? Or Fisto, a robotic prostitute? Please lock in your responses now. So, Michael, we'll start with you this time.
Okay. I'm gonna go Watso 1, the detective robot, because I know Mr. Gutsy and I know Nukatron are. Um, and there is a robot detective in Fallout 4, which is Nick Valentine, and I kind of figure, well, he's a synth, okay. But I kind of am like, if there was another detective robot, I feel like it would have come up at some point. Um, and I feel like Fisto is something they maybe would have tucked away as like as a joke. So I'm saying Watso 1.
Okay.
Watson. Oh.
And T, what about you?
So yeah, Mr. Gutsy and Nukatron I already know are two. And I do think I have to say Fisto. Or at least I'm hoping that I'm right. Like, there's no way. Maybe, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Fisto.
Yeah. I've never known game developers to be, obscene or immature, inappropriate. So that would I would be aghast, frankly.
Right.
So yes. And Devin, what about you?
So I also knew Mr. Gutsy's one, so that was easy to eliminate. I don't know about Fisto, but I don't think you could think of Fisto either.
Wow.
And I mean this as a compliment, I guess. I just I don't think your mind would come up with Fisto. So I was down to Nukatron and Watts 01, and I did have vague memories of a detective robot, and unfortunately, I'm guessing Nukatron's in Fallout 4 because Mike and T are both familiar with it, but I had not heard of it, so I picked Nukatron, which I now know is wrong, but I'm a man of honor, and I locked my answer in, and I won't be changing it. So unfortunately, I'm not going to get this one, but I had said Nukatron.
Yeah. And it's good you were honest up front because, again, we do have a foolproof system for locking in your response. So you would have been caught now or later. So I'm glad that you were honest up front.
Just like a SWAT team bursts through my door. You thought of Nukatron. You thought of Nukatron.
So yes, it seems like at least those of us who played Fallout 4 were aware of Mr. Gutsy and Nukatron, and that really comes down to Watso 1 and Fisto. And the one that is not a robot from the Fallout franchise is indeed Watso 1, a detective robot, which I did, yes, based off of Watson, because I figured that could be a thing. Fisto is a bit of an Easter egg. I believe, from my understanding, Fisto can be programmed to be a robotic prostitute, and that is an actual robot from the Fallout franchise. So it looks like, Michael, you have taken a lead with 2 points, followed by Devin at 1, and T is about to take off.
Yeah.
Okay. So, next question. This is another not question. Which of the following, or who of the following, is not a DJ or radio personality in the Fallout universe? So which of these is not? Is it Ira Sand, a presenter on Commonwealth Public Radio? DJ Carl, a DJ obsessed with terrible classical music? Travis Miles, a self-depreciative radio newbie? Or Three Dog, a news presenter and pre-war music DJ? Okay, so T, we'll begin with you this time. Which of these is not a DJ or radio personality in the Fallout universe?
Okay, so I'm going with Ira Sand because this Travis Miles, I feel like, is the one in main one in Fallout 4. And the other two, besides Iris Sand, seem like pretty weird. Like I can imagine them as characters, whereas just a presenter, I'm like, okay, maybe that's kind of straightforward. So I'll just eliminate that one.
Okay. Devin?
Yeah, I also had Iris Sand, and here's my reasoning. I know Three Dog. I'm pretty sure Three Dog's in Fallout 3. Listened to a lot of Three Dog back in the day. 150 hours of Three Dog. I wasn't sure on DJ Carl or Travis Miles. Those aren't ringing a bell, but I was like, is DJ Carl the fucking weird Fred Armisen cameo in the Fallout show? Because he's complaining about how no one likes his classical music. So I was like, oh, maybe that character was named DJ Carl. And Travis Miles just seemed like too arbitrary for you to have made up, whereas Ira Sand is obviously like a parody of Ira Glass. And so it's possible Fallout is doing that as a joke, but it felt weirder to me for you to just come up with a character named Travis Miles. Much as like I didn't think you had Fisto in you. So I'm going with Ira Sand.
Okay. And Michael?
I'm worried about my answer now. So I picked DJ Carl because I know Travis Miles is Diamond City Radio. And I played a lot of Fallout 4, and I feel like I've heard the name Iris Sand coming through, but I'm worried that that's now like a weird
It's in your head now.
Yeah, like some screen something that I produced. Because I was basically thinking between DJ Carl and Three Dog. And I was worried that DJ Carl was, in fact, the Fred Armisen character, but there's something about Three Dog that just it seemed real. So I picked DJ Carl.
Okay. We are all locked in. So let me reveal this by sharing the ones who are actual DJs or radio personalities in the Fallout universe. And we'll kind of work our way. I'll just go randomly through here. So we'll start with, it seemed like, I think T, you said you remembered Travis Miles. And that is a character, I believe, in Fallout 4. You can complete a quest, which makes him transition from a terrible soft-spoken voice to a suave transatlantic accent on the radio in Fallout 4. So that Travis Miles is a character from Fallout 4. Three Dog, Devin, you remembered that correctly from 2008. He was one of the big DJs in the Capital Wasteland. He was the news anchor of Galaxy News Radio in the Capital Wasteland. So that was Three Dog, which leads us to the last two, Ira Sand and DJ Carl. And I can confirm that DJ Carl was Fred Armisen's character, the host of KPSS that plays classical music in the Fallout show. And who I believe, Devin, you said was the first moment you were really taken out of.
Yeah, it's my least
show.
favorite moment of the entire season. There are other cameos that I was fine with, but like the fact that he's like complaining about how like they don't understand like audio fidelity and stuff, like in treble and bass, like it was a Portlandia bit. Like he's literally playing like a character from Portlandia that's like an audiophile snob. And I was just like, get this shit off my television.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
I don't even think it was not funny. If they were doing like a sketch on Portlandia making fun of Fallout, it would be fine. But I just felt it broke the reality of the show for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that.
Yeah. So I appreciate you, Michael, saying not Ira Sand to make me feel good about that perhaps my responses can pass for at least like at least one of us in each. If at least one of us doesn't go along with my fake answer each round, I'll be happy. So thank you for making me happy.
It's trickier to nail Fallout than Star Wars, because Star Wars you could basically just like say you could say anything and it might be possible.
Yeah. These have literally some. It's like, oh yeah, Ira Sand is a play on Ira Glass. Fallout is it's literally Glob Shitto, and you could just say any of that and you're fine. So yes, it was more challenging.
Character named Fisto.
Right.
There's a Fisto in Star Wars. Yeah.
Right.
Kit Fisto.
Kit Fisto. Wow. That really makes you think. Wow.
All great franchises have a Fisto.
All right. One more of these. Which of the following?
Can we get a point update?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Devin with 2, Michael with 2, and T, as I said, coming back with 1. So
anyone's game. It's anyone's game.
It really is. And if you know anything about me, I am fair, and yet, let me assure you, it is anyone's game, especially if that anyone is not Devin. All right. Moving along. Which of the following is not the name of a member of Caesar's Legion in Fallout New Vegas? Is it Dead Sea, Titus Polo, Aurelius of Phoenix, or Cato Hostilius? Are you about ready to lock in?
I'm locked in.
T's locked in, Devin? There's only 4 answers. You're just going to have to lock in on one. You're not going to discover new knowledge in the next 10 seconds.
I'm locked in.
Okay. So, we're back to you, Devin, starting us off. Who do you think is... Which of the following do you think is not the name of a member of Caesar's Legion in Fallout New Vegas, the game of which you did just explain to us you played 150 hours of?
Absolutely. And I remember Caesar's Legion. So this is a really frustrating set of responses to me, right? Because I remember Caesar's Legion. I remember people having the Latinate names, right? Which 3 of the 4 of these are. So initially, my brain wants to go, obviously, Dead Sea is the made up one. But then it seems like that's got to be a trick. Like it can't be that easy, right? But then it's like, well, how do I choose between Titus Pulo, Aurelio of Phoenix, and Cato Hostilius? Like this could be fucking anything, So I went with Titus Pulo because, I don't know. There's a Titus in the series, and maybe they didn't want to reuse a name. I don't know. This is the one to me where you are most tapping into the energy you had with the Star Wars Holiday Special game, where I'm just I could talk myself into any of these, and it's giving me it's making me so angry.
Okay, Michael, to you.
I picked Dead Sea. I went through basically the same thoughts as Devin. I'm worried about the fact that it kind of breaks the form, but this one's real vibes. I don't know.
Okay, and T?
I also went with Dead Sea. And also for me, this was real vibes based, but that one, the others I could okay, they could be their names, let's go. But Dead Sea was the one that just didn't feel.
So what is Caesar's association with the Dead Sea? I don't know history. I feel like this could be on my side here.
Well, I don't know if the historical Caesar has any relation to the Dead Sea per se, but Caesar's Legion was how would you describe them, Devin? A bunch of fascists, a bunch of
yeah, I mean, it's kind of imagine a Brotherhood of Steel kind of, but they're cosplaying as legionnaires.
Yeah.
And also it's because it's New Vegas, so it's it's Caesar's Palace, sort of thing. So it's just kind of all the casinos have a vibe in New Vegas. So there's there's the one that's it's I think they're called Omerta, but they're just the mafia people. There's Caesar's Legion. There's other ones, which I then remember I eventually went to Vegas once and I was like, oh, cool. So each casino has a thing. And like many of them do, obviously there's like, the one with like the Venice shit, there's the one with the pyramid. But then I would go into like the Wynn and I would just be like, what's your deal? Your deal can't just be like nice casino. What the fuck?
So, with that said, let me share which of these are members of Caesar's Legion. First off, nobody thought, and so this is actually one, Cato Hostilius. Cato Hostilius, of course, is a frumentarius stationed around Hoover Dam. Please correct me on the Latin if I am wrong on any of these. Let's go next to the one that also nobody said. Aurelius of Phoenix is a centurion serving in Cottonwood Cove. And that brings us to our last two. And so I will say Titus Pullo is a fictional character from HBO's Rome, played by Ray Stevenson, which means Dead Sea is a decanus in the town of Nelson in Fallout New Vegas. I believe one of the expansions, perhaps, to Fallout New Vegas.
Damn.
And so the which of the following is not, it is Titus Pullo. Of course, the late great Ray Stevenson.
My God.
Who, as we all know from Star Wars Ahsoka, who played that guy who did things in that show. What a great final role to have. That was Titus Pullo.
He was that guy. Oh no, and then he died. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Would recommend it. HBO's Rome. It's a fun little show, like mid-2000s show.
I didn't realize that you were 75 years old, Ethan. That's like my dad's like favorite show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the drum line of shows,
Yeah, I wouldn't. If it's someone's favorite show, that is concerning. To me, it only has like 2 seasons, so I was like, oh yeah, cool. You just sort of watch through it, and it's like, oh, there's.
Isn't that the one where they like? It's kind of like a Popeye, like Robert Altman's Popeye situation, where they like built the town for it, and the town's like still there.
I don't know. Is it maybe?
I think I know that the like.
It was filmed in Italy, and they had a whole film studio that was essentially meant to be ancient Rome. And so I think that they've kept it around because they're like, hey, if you're doing a Rome show, you should film at our studio because we've already built Rome. Maybe it was something along that line. I do not know the lore of HBO's Rome, unfortunately. I only know Titus Pullo is like the standout character in that show.
Yeah, apparently you can go visit it, the set.
Who would do that? Why? I want actually this is the most on-brand thing that I actually could imagine your father doing, Devin, is visiting Rome.
Going all the way to Italy, but going to the set of Rome. Like the Colosseum is like 10 minutes away.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, okay. So hey, people got questions wrong again. That's great. That makes me feel like I was onto something with my fake name. So thank you all again. I believe, Devin, you had this one correct, which means that you are up to 3 points, Michael at 2, and T on the up and up with 1. So the next question, I'm retiring me making up names. We've got 2 more questions in round 1. And this question is, and I can actually get real specific with this too. Yeah, I sure can. Who among the following is not a voice actor in the Fallout series? And I believe I can actually say this is, I'll just leave it at that. Who among the following is not a voice actor in the Fallout series?
Man, now I'm just wondering what the fuck you were gonna say.
I think I can actually say that. So I can actually say all of these are all the correct ones are voice actors in the original Fallout game. So Fallout 1. So
Whoa.
yeah. And at first I'm like looking through them, I'm like, no, these are all older actors. So that's it's not going to be a hint. I believe every single one of these are voice actors in the original Fallout game. That's sort of a plug for the original Fallout game when you're going to be like, wow, 3 out of these 4 are voice actors in that game. It must be a pretty dope game. And I've specifically chosen actors who have been in other films that have been on the podcast. So that was a criteria that I specifically looked for. And you'd be surprised how much overlap there is. So, who among the following is not a voice actor in the original Fallout video game? Is it Ron Perlman, who was, of course, in our episode about Enemy at the Gates? Is it Clancy Brown, who was in our episode Highlander? He's what's the antagonist's name? The Kurgan or something?
Yeah, whatever that guy's whatever that guy's name is.
Is it?
Don't watch Highlander.
Is it CCH Pounder, who we just was in Face Off that we just talked about?
True.
Mm-hmm. Or Benjamin Bratt from Demolition Man. Devin, of course, your and I's favorite episode. So, and film. So, who among those is not a voice actor in the Fallout series? And Fallout 1, actually. You're fine to Google them if you don't recognize any of their names, because I don't think that Fallout the video game is going to be the first result.
Yeah, so. I can confirm having double checked who they all are. Besides Ron Perlman, and CCH Pounder, but that Fallout is not coming up on any of these results. So,
what year is the first Fallout?
Fallout was 1997. Yeah, so Fallout came out in 1997. Okay. Michael, we'll have you start us off. What is your choice for which of the voice actors is not a voice actor in the Fallout video game?
I'm going to say Benjamin Bratt, because he wasn't, I don't think he had popped yet in 97 quite as much. And Clancy Brown and Ron Perlman have great Fallout voices. And CCH Pounder is like a very well-known voice actor. So I'm saying Benjamin Bratt.
Okay. They only hired top actors for video games in 1997. So that's a solid logic. All right. E, what about you?
I also went with Benjamin Bratt because I know CCH Pounder is a voice actor, and at that point I just guessed. I feel like I don't know why I think I know that Ron Perlman is in it. I don't know why that's somewhere in my head. Maybe I just made that up. But
I also think I know that Ron Perlman is in it.
Anyway, after that I just guessed.
Okay. And Devin?
Yeah, so Ron Perlman's definitely in it. Like, Ron Perlman is the voice of the Fallout series. Oh. You know, war never changes. That's Ron Perlman. So crossed him out right away. And then we're left with, it's really tricky, because I think everyone's done voice work. This is like well chosen. Clancy Brown, iconic voice actor, right? Does like Lex Luthor, among other things. CCH Pounder does a lot of voice work. I barely know who Benjamin Bratt is, to be honest. So it was really tempting to pick Benjamin Bratt. But, you know, scared money doesn't make money. And I think Clancy Brown might be in here as a trick because he's so famous as a voice actor. And I think he's like maybe a little redundant with Ron Perlman. Like, what, do you need both Ron Perlman and Clancy Brown? So I think this has like a high risk of losing, but I'm going for like I'm trying not to play it safe here. I'm going for the end zone. So I'm going to say Clancy Brown.
Okay. So, for the answers, I'll start with, as you said, Devin, Ron Perlman is the voiceover of the intro, War Never Changes. He also voice acted Butch Harris in Fallout, the first Fallout, who was, I think, the head of the Thieves Guild in one of the towns. So he voice acted as well in the first Fallout too. Then another one that nobody said, CCH Pounder. CCH Pounder played the head scribe Vree of the Brotherhood of Steel. So CCH Pounder, also a voice actor in the first Fallout game. And that brings us to Clancy Brown and Benjamin Bratt. And what I will say for this one is that Benjamin Bratt was not in Fallout, but he was in Mission Impossible Fallout. And so Clancy Brown was a voice actor.
That's
He played Rhombus, the head paladin of the Brotherhood of Steel in the very first Fallout game, which I believe both Michael and T
in Fallout.
You both said Benjamin Bratt, correct?
Mhm.
correct.
I don't need you to confirm it because I have it locked down. So we have the information.
Wait, he wasn't in
means-
Mission Impossible Fallout.
That's what I came up with.
I'm
Maybe I
on
was
his
wrong.
I'm on his like Wikipedia and it's not listed.
No, who can say? It's unknown. There's no way to know. I can't Google it because Google doesn't work anymore. So I don't know why I would have thought.
Were you
that
mixing
he was
him up with Ving Rhames or Alec Baldwin, perhaps?
No, because I brought up his specific IMDb, but you're correct that it actually isn't in there. So I'll rescind that. So he's even less in Fallout. Who was I looking
Not
up that
even
was in
close.
Fallout in Mission Impossible Fallout that was perhaps also in Demolition Man? I don't know. I can't recall exactly my process as I was working through these questions, but what I can tell you is that Benjamin Bratt was not a voice actor in Fallout, which means Devin with 3, Michael with 3, T, as I've been saying, up and coming with 2. So, last question.
I think you were mixing him up. I think you were mixing him up with Wolf Blitzer.
That must be it. Can you imagine Wolf Blitzer, the voice actor in the original Fallout from like 97? Oh goodness.
It would actually slap if there was like you went into a vault and Fallout and it was just like Wolf Blitzer in the Situation Room, just like doing news, like he's just crazy. He lives by himself and he just like does news every day.
Yeah. So I've got one last question before our final round. And this is a question that as we were starting, I had to revise and keep coming up with these because it's always, there's so many interesting things with Fallout. So trying to find some of the quirky things that are in Fallout for you all, and then thinking, what are other things that we might think of that are not in Fallout? These are special random encounters in Fallout 2. And the question of this is, which of the following is not a special random encounter in Fallout 2? So is it a Guardian portal from the Star Trek, the original series episode City on the Edge of Forever? Is it the Sphinx Gate that shoots lasers from the Neverending Story? Is it King Arthur's knights fighting a rat taken from Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Or is it the remains of a whale taken from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with a pot of flowers next to it? Okay, we are all locked in. So, which of the following is not a special random encounter in Fallout 2? We will begin with you, T.
So
That's correct. The University of Texas. No. T.
I went with the Sphinx Gate. The second two, they felt like they made sense, like they would be somewhere in there. So it was really between the first two, and then I just landed on the Sphinx Gate from the Neverending Story.
Okay.
Oh.
Devin.
I went with the Guardian Portal because you're such a Trekkie, so that seemed like something you would pull.
Wow.
I agree that I was between the top two because the latter two feel very Fallout coded to me.
Mhm.
Like just like the kind of shit they would be into, and especially the whale one feels like a very like thing that would happen in Fallout. The kind of tableau thing. So I went with the Guardian Portal.
Okay. And Michael.
I went with the King Arthur's knights fighting a rat. It does feel very Fallout coded, and I did have to look up what the Guardian Portal and the Sphinx Gate were, but they seem like something that you could kind of put into a game, and they're just kind of like a nice little object, if you know kind of thing that's not too ostentatious. The whale, I completely agree, is just like, yeah, it's definitely
Mhm.
that would definitely be there. So I did the King Arthur's knights fighting a rat.
Wow, we have 3 different responses.
Okay.
That's exciting. So I will say, here's what I will say. First off, my original which one of these is not a special random encounter was the charred remains of Uncle Owen and on whatever from Star Wars. But then I looked up that actually the charred remains of Uncle Owen was an Easter egg, I think in Fallout New Vegas. So I decided to not use that one. So I will also confirm that the remains of a whale taken from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a special random encounter in Fallout 2. So that's fun. So now we have the Guardian Portal, the Sphinx Gate, and King Arthur's Knights. So King Arthur's Knights show up, I believe, in several random encounters in Fallout 2. First, you just encounter them randomly, but then you also encounter them later fighting a rat, which I believe is the stand-in for the rabbit that is just slaughtering all of them. So that is a random encounter. They're all essentially wearing Brotherhood of Steel armor, all these knights, and they're getting shredded. So that is a random encounter in Fallout 2. So the Guardian Portal and the Sphinx Gate are the 2 that remain. The Guardian, I'm assuming our audience, of course, knows both of these, despite the fact that apparently maybe these were more obscure than I anticipated. The Guardian Portal is the time travel portal from the original series in Star Trek, where they go back in time. It also shows up later in Star Trek Discovery. Let me just move on from that. The Sphinx Gate is the 2 sphinxes that I forget in the Neverending Story. You have to like be true of heart or something, but like they shoot lasers and like obliterate people who are not true adventurers or heroes or something. It's and like you see a very gruesome example of that in the movie. So those are the 2 there, and I will say that the one that shows up in Fallout 2 is the Guardian Portal from Star Trek the original series.
Oh my god, 3-way tie.
Which means, as I've been saying, T on the up and up, bringing it to a tie, a 3-way tie. 3 points, 3 ways. Devin, Michael, and T. That brings us to our final round. What a thrilling conclusion to this game.
That's
great.
so funny.
Amazing.
Yep. So, fuck, how do I do this with 3 people? I think this needs to be a final Jeopardy situation. So, Michael and T, perhaps you can write down your answers.
Yeah.
Devin, you can write it down or type it to me. You can send like a private message to me would be fine.
Yeah, I'll send you a message.
Okay. So this is a final Jeopardy situation here. And the question is, It's a 5-part question. I'd like you to tell me, for each of the major Fallout games, what is the nature of the initial main quest for each of the games? And this is for Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. Those are the 5 games. Can you tell me what is the initial main quest? Obviously, the quests go in different directions. They sort of change eventually, but the initial main quest that you are tasked with. I'm if you have no idea, I am also willing to consider points for creativity if nobody gets an answer correct. So keep that in mind. I think that would be, what do you think, Devin? If no one gets it correct, I should give it to the best.
I think, yeah, like I think you are empowered to do whatever you think.
I came up with all these before I realized that I'm the only person on Earth who played the first 2 Fallout games. So keep that in mind. I'll either the one who's closest to what it actually is or has the most original response can also, somebody's going to earn a point for each of these. So what was the initial main quest of each Fallout game? And we will begin at the end with Fallout 4. Devin, tell us, what is the main initial quest of Fallout 4?
All right, so I know Mike and T have played this one, so I assume they're going to get it and I'm not. But all I know about it is it's set in Boston. So my guess is that you are desperate to get out of Boston, the worst city in America, whatever means necessary.
A valid guess.
Kind of is.
Yeah, right.
Kind of is.
Michael, what did you put for this?
I have played this one, the one I have played. So you have to find your kid who was kidnapped.
And T, what did you say?
I put you're trying to find your kid.
Yeah. So Michael and T are going to each get a point for that, which means they are both in the lead with 4 points, Devin with 3. However, we're now moving backwards to Fallout New Vegas. Michael, start us off. What do you think is the main initial quest of Fallout New Vegas?
So basically, the only thing I know about this from like a narrative perspective is that earlier you said that you don't play a Vaultware, you play a courier. So I
did say that, didn't I?
So I put you have to deliver a package.
Okay. What do you think, T?
You're like running a casino. That's where I went. Vegas, but Fallout.
It's a sim management game.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no fighting. It's just
well, there is, but
yeah.
You know, right. Can't have that.
It's like a casino game that Bethesda got the rights to and decided to just call it Fallout New Vegas for license. Devin, what did you say?
Yeah. So you're a courier. You're delivering something. I can't remember what it is, but I'm guessing you're bringing it to like the casinos, and then like I remember the casinos are all kind of like competing with one another. So you get caught up in like casino business. Like, you know what I want to say? Like, is there a chance there's something with a robot? I feel like there might be like something with one of the TV head robots.
Something
is
about like
important to the plot.
Post-apocalyptic things. Probably.
No. But specifically like the robot that has like a television for a head, and then like the different like kind of cartoon faces. I feel like
Mr. House's
he's important
face.
somehow. But yeah, that's what I got. So
yeah, and to close, just remind me again, Devin, how many hours of this game did you play?
well, the thing about Fallout is like these are all just like bullshit, which is like the first couple hours of the game where you're just like get me out of there, and then you're just a dude doing shit in the apocalypse. Like so,
yeah.
But it was 150 to like 200 hours.
Yes. Okay, so essentially the initial quest you sort of have amnesia when you start off in Fallout New Vegas, because the initial thing that happens, you are a courier, you are delivering something, but then you get shot in the head by a dude and you are nursed back to health, and you got to figure out who the fuck shot you in the head and why, and you probably need to kill him. So I'm going to, Michael, I'm giving you a point because you do have to deliver something. You need to deliver a bullet into this guy who shot you. Devin, I'm giving you a point because you were a carrier that was delivering something. But interestingly, I feel like your description was worse than Michael's, and they've never played the game, so
yeah, because they didn't say anything hardly. I gave some color to it.
What did you say? You're a courier that's delivering something? Like, if you're a courier, like
how is that different? How is that different from what Michael said?
I'm putting mine together through logic from following this conversation very close.
Yeah.
I did great for the information I was working with.
Yeah. And T, I loved your description. I can't give you a point for it, but I want to see that game.
I appreciate
So Devin and T both with 4 points. Michael taking the lead with 3, which brings us to some interesting things as we start to transition towards games nobody has played. I believe, Devin, you played Fallout 3, though, so you might get a little boost here. We'll start with you, T, for this one. What was Fallout 3 all about?
So I did play it for a bit, and I just remember kind of like building shit. So I imagine that the whole game is about building shit. So you're just like, you just build shit. That's it. That's the whole goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Devin's having a reaction to that. What do you think, Devin? What is Fallout 3 all about?
I just don't know what shit means in that sentence. Like,
Whatever.
Okay. So I remember this one. Like, I can't remember necessarily what the specific thing that's going on is, but I remember you start as like a baby in the vault. Like you walk around as like a little baby at first. So like you're like a born and bred vault dweller, and that is what they call you. They call you like the vault dweller. 3 Dog calls you that on the radio. And I remember there's something where like you're trying to find your father. I can't remember exactly why, and I think your mother's probably already dead. But I think there's like a water purifying technology or something that your father has or something, and you're trying to get him. I think he dies at some point before the story's done. But I remember the ending of Fallout 3 very viscerally, because like it's like you're in this situation where like you have to know what like the code for a keypad is to like open something, and like I don't know, something's in there. Like I don't remember if it's your dad or it's the water purifier technology or whatever it is. And you're dying. There's like gas, and you're like dying. You don't have a lot of time as this is happening. And I remember like authentically being like, oh wait, yeah, there's like some like memento you have from your mom or something. There's like some item you have had since like the beginning of the game that I forget the details, but it somehow contains like the clue to what the password is. Like it's like a date or something. And I like very authentically was like, fuck, I'm dying. What am I going to do? And I was like, oh shit. And then like, it was very like emotionally affecting at the time to be like, oh yeah, it's like this mother date or whatever it is, yeah, but that's what I got.
Okay. That's Devin's. That's Devin's guess about, again, the question, what is the initial main quest for this game? And Michael, what do you think?
I really don't remember very much. I at first I thought you had to like solve some kind of radiation crisis. Isn't there like a rad roach attack at the beginning or something? Forgot that you started as a baby. But yeah, so there's a crisis in the vault. And it has to do with radiation, and then you have to leave and visit the nuclear bomb.
Okay. So, just before I answer this, Michael or T, do either of you need another 5 minutes? Because just out of fairness, I want to make sure that you have as much time as Devin did to explain this.
No.
Hearing nothing. Okay.
I'm tapped.
Okay, great. So the initial quest is essentially to find your father in Fallout 3. So Devin, you do get a point for that. As much as I want to subtract a point for all of the other stuff that you then start describing, but I won't subtract a point. I won't, because then I feel like I'd have to give Devin 2 points because he's essentially describing many of the plot points of Fallout 3, which I feel, Michael, you did a very good job of describing several of the plot points. Like early on, you have to kill some roaches as a training, and then you do go to Megaton, which is a town that has a nuclear bomb that's unexploded in the middle of it. So I won't give you additional points for that, because then Devin would probably get angry saying, like, I'm recounting all these other plot points from Fallout 3, and he would demand additional points. I don't want to deal with that right now. So
you're goddamn right, I would.
Yeah. T, I think it sounds like you're describing the base building, which I know is in Fallout 4. Is not in Fallout 3, but
yeah, I have no idea what you mean by building stuff.
But maybe broadly describing that we're trying to build a better future in this post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Yeah.
You know? So close, but that still brings you within 1 point of Devin and Michael, who both have 5, which means it's anyone's game, I'm going to assume, going into these last two. Because just to confirm, nobody has played Fallout 1 or 2, right? Okay. Cool. So it's really going to be style points. I'm going to start with, does somebody get it close to what it actually is? That'll get a point. But failing that, you can also earn a point for style. So
wait, I'm being told like there are points for style, and then yet I'm being like dragged through the coals for having added like flourishes to my answer, because I didn't know if I was correct. I was trying to get style points. That's
a good point of clarification. So let me clarify. The focus is on quality, not quantity. So just because you tell me a 5-minute story doesn't mean you're going to get more points. So with that said, Fallout 2, the sequel to the first Fallout game, for those who need to know, we will start back at you, Devin. What's Fallout 2 all about?
Yeah, so with both 2 and 1, I'm completely guessing, and both of my answers for this, I feel like, have a chance of being right for one of the two, but like I have no way of knowing which they would be. But Fallout 2, I'm kind of like basing this a little on the show, because the show has the father thing, which Fallout 3 had. It had that element, so I was like thinking of the element of the show where the vault gets invaded by raiders. So I was like, you're a vault dweller, your vault is invaded by raiders, and then you're either like out for revenge, or maybe you're just kind of like looking for a purpose after like the entire world you had and everyone you know is dead. And maybe that's even up to the player and the play style of how you interpret that mission. But I'm guessing there's like some kind of inciting incident of like the vault is invaded and disrupted by raiders or some other kind of enemy.
Okay. Thank you, Devin. Let's switch it up. T, what do you think Fallout 2 is all about?
All right. So I don't know anything about Fallout 2. So I kind of imagined it like, wouldn't it be fun if you just stayed in the vault the whole time? And it's like The Sims, but Fallout. So in Fallout 1, you leave the vault, you explore. Fallout 2, you don't go anywhere. You live and die in the vault.
Wait. So just to review, so like T has played Fallout 4 and gets the Fallout 4 answer, but like T thinks that the other Fallout games are a casino simulator, like Minecraft, and then just like The Sims.
Yeah. I would play
Fallout 4 just came out of nowhere. They were like, wait, what if you like shot things and explored and like
which is something different. Well, no, I decided on my explanation for Fallout 2 because
wow.
Yeah. Okay. No, I mean Fallout 4 was very controversial because it was like It's like we are the Fallouters. We know what we do. We are like realistic simulations of jobs.
So that's
Michael,
like-
what do you think?
Again, I am also completely at sea here. So I wrote that you have to leave to find an energy source for the vault, which is in some sort of degenerative process.
Okay.
Okay. So the initial quest in Fallout 2 is you are searching for a Gek. Pause on what that is. Don't worry about it for now. We'll come back to that. To help your drought-afflicted village survive. So let me tell you a few things. One, Michael, I got to give you a point for that because I think it has to do with this sustaining energy source to save your village. You're a descendant of the original Vault Dweller from Fallout 1 in this game. At the end of Fallout 1, as we all know, the overseer of the vault doesn't let you come back. He says you're too much of a changed person. It actually would destroy our vault society for us to let you, the person who has saved us, come back, and you're kicked out. And so in Fallout 2, you play a descendant from the village that essentially that original Vault Dweller founds, but you're trying to get this Gek, which is a device that will help your drought-afflicted village survive. However, here's the other thing. Games that I didn't include in here, in between Fallout 2 and Fallout 3, there were several interplay games such as Fallout Tactics and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel that were flops. They were flops because Interplay kept trying to make a Fallout game that wasn't Fallout. They were trying to do these tactical these top-down like tactical games. They're situation-based. It's not in the genre of what people wanted in a Fallout game. And for that, T, I'm going to give you a point for your description of essentially The Sims, because to me, there is this underlying feeling within the zeitgeist of Fallout at the time of what
Which
is
of
the
those
genre
games is
of
about
Fallout.
living in a vault?
So
this is like they could have each said literally anything, and as long as the three of us were wrong, you were going to give them points and not give me any points.
So let me just
The
review
listeners know. The listeners have been hearing the games week after week. They know what's going on.
Let me just review the Dungeon
I'm
Master
in some
rules,
kind of
the
vault
rule
tech
set.
experiment myself.
I'm confirming the rule book. So no, T, you do get a point for that.
Great. Awesome.
That is within the context of the rules, which brings us to Devin and T both with 5. Michael taking a late lead with 6. And I think also perhaps an initial lead is you had that as well. So, but hey, that brings us to the original Fallout game from 1997. What's the initial main quest about in this game? And we will start with Michael.
So I figured they want to do just some like initial world build out here. So I said that you have to like discover the other vaults and like communicate with the other vaults. And that's
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Let's go to you, T.
I put finding your family because I figured they would do that more than once. Turns out that was right, but wrong game. Yeah.
Okay. And Devin, what do you think?
Yeah, so mine was kind of similar to what Mike said for Fallout 2, like some kind of vault supply issue, like medicine or something the vault needs that requires you to venture out into the surface world. You are retrieving something for the vault that so I was thinking maybe medicine, but maybe it's another one of these Geks. I don't know. Whatever a Gek is. Yeah.
Okay. So don't look up what a Gek is, Devin. It's important.
Oh.
Don't look it up. Did you look it up?
I thought the game was over.
No. Did you look it up?
No.
Okay, good, because that'll be our final question. Okay. So, in the original Fallout game, you are tasked with finding a water chip for your vault because the water chip has broken in Vault 13. So, I will give Devin a point for this because it is medicine or something. It does involve a vault supply issue. So, Devin, you get a point for that. The very first instructions you are given as you are sent out of Vault 13 is, well, what's our best bet for finding another water chip? It's finding another vault. Here's the directions to Vault 15, where they may have a water chip. So, Michael, I need to give you a point for that because it is about finding other vaults because you're trying to find a water chip. And there are other vaults that potentially have water chips throughout Fallout 1 that you do encounter, including where the big bad is, the Master for that game. As we all know, the Master, a well-loved and well-known character from the Fallout universe. But here's the thing with what T is saying, where you're trying to find your family. How else can you describe Fallout 1 but finding your Fallout family? This initial introduction into the Fallout series. Think of, I mean, this was 1997. Think of the Fallout families that we have all grown through our engagement with this series, through 9/11, through the pandemic.
Wow.
You know, we have really
The Heaven's Gate cult members committed mass suicide that year.
So T, I have to give you a point as well for Fallout as really a story about finding your family, because that really is where it all began. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Now, if it were to end right here, Michael, you would have it. But I want to give one bonus opportunity to close us out for the game. I mentioned that Fallout 2 is about finding a Gek. I would like you each to share. Let me rephrase this. Gek is an abbreviation for something. Can you each tell me what is Gek? Geck, an abbreviation for? Whoever gets it closest, or the objectively, carefully considered best answer, can earn a bonus point. No, a bonus 2 points, because that could make it anyone's game. So, what does Gek stand for? You know, as we're writing it down, I think one of the funny things in Fallout 2 is you encounter several lockers full of literally hundreds of water chips, which is a nice play on how that was your whole quest in the first Fallout. And then the second one, there's just... It's like the Alanis Morissette song, Ironic. You know, 10,000 water chips when all you need is a Gek. Now, what is a Gek? That is our question. So, we'll go reverse order. T, if you want to start us off, what is Gek? This thing you're trying to find in Fallout 2 for your dying community?
Yeah, I wrote great energy for little 4 crops and kids. Family and the children.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Identified the soul of this franchise.
Yeah.
It's all about. Yeah.
Michael, what do you think Gek is?
I put ground enhancing cyber kinetics.
Ooh, okay. That's getting, you get like a little steampunk vibe there, the cyber kinetics. Okay. Very nice. And Devin, what did you say?
Yeah, so I do have one word shared with T. I have, because I was thinking it's some kind of like energy source, like some kind of like because there's like the cold fusion thing in the show, right? Which felt like this could have something to do with. So I said generative energy control kit.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's got to be
Like a
Gen-
device that lets you generate and control energy
in a kit.
In a kit.
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
Well, I just didn't know what that was fucking K could stand for. Like kids.
Kids.
I didn't think of it.
Kids.
Like,
You know?
kill, like, kinetic is good. I didn't think of the fact that it could be one word, like,
Yeah.
divided into two.
So the GEC stands for the Garden of Eden Creation Kit.
See, kit. It's a great word.
So here's the thing, and I'm just consulting the rule
Crops are
book
like,
here.
you know, crops are a lot like gardens.
That is true. That is another word. So I thank you, Devin, for providing that justification, because I think, Michael, you mentioned crops and it's a Garden of Eden. I think that's
No,
definitely.
T mentioned crops. T mentioned crops.
Oh, that's right, crops and kids.
Crops
Right.
and kids. Yeah.
So
I
T,
have
you what did you have, Michael?
Ground enhancing.
And the Garden of Eden. What is the Garden of Eden if not the most enhanced?
Okay, but I
ground?
literally got one of the words right.
I know, and so for that,
That
Devin,
has to be worth more points.
no, that's definitely worth a point for the one word you got right. I think kit gives you a point. T, crops and kids. You have crops, but the Garden of Eden isn't just about crops. The Garden of Eden is about the foundation of who we are as humans. You know, the temptation.
You're losing
the
all moral standing and all ethical high ground.
it's well. Let's pause. So first off, Michael, I think, also gets a point out of this. I think that's only fair.
Fair.
But I do have to say, T was mentioning crops and kids, and I think that the Garden of Eden is both crops and kids.
There
And
is.
so I think that T
There
gets
are
a
no
point.
kids in the Garden of Eden. There literally aren't any. They get kicked out before they have any kids.
No,
They're the-
it's the Garden of Eden creation kit. It's you're kicking things off. And so I have to give T a point for the garden, for the
The crops.
for the crops, which I think is analogous to a garden, and also the kids for the Garden of Eden, because
You're fucking kidding me.
because as we've all read and studied in the book of Genesis, we all derive from Adam and Eve. Like,
Right.
that's a settled fact. That's just a settled fact, Devin. If you can't take it up with, you want to take it up with Pope Francis. That's not for me to decide. And so, given that objective reality, T does get a point for both crops and kids, which means T, as I have said all along, the up and comer with 8 points, Michael with 7 points, Devin with 7 points. Our winner for this week's Vox Populi is T.
Oh my god.
Congratulations
Thank
for
you.
adhering to our clearly defined rules and coming out a champion.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Put a lot into this.
Yeah, Devin, anything you want to say in terms of, making sure you're still eligible for the sportsmanship award? Do you have a
Fuck that, man.
And Michael with the sportsmanship award for this week's Vox Populi. What a game, what an outcome.
So, Ethan,
Yes.
it's just you and me now. Mike, and T, we don't have left us. Uh, they've taken their awards and ran. But
Hmm.
speaking of Fallout, right? You took a little trip this past weekend to the B reactor. Tell us a little bit about it. Where exactly is this? What exactly is it?
Yeah. So, I mean, Devin, you know, I'm a big fan of the National Park Service. I think it's one of the great goods that our country, our government, our federal government has done in its pretty terrible existence. And of course, as you know, my favorite national park of all of them is, of course, say it with me, the Manhattan Project
Houston.
National Park. So, um, the Manhattan Project National Park has three components to it. Do you know what the other two components that aren't here, where they're at, Devin?
Oh, so they consider it one park, the like different locations?
Yes, they do.
Well, so what? It's Los Alamos, right?
That's the one.
And then is it Kirkland in Tennessee or something?
Oak
Or no,
Ridge.
Kirkland's Oak Ridge. Yeah, no,
Kirkland is
in,
the brand
is also
of,
in
of Costco. Yeah. So
no, there's like an Air Force base in New
Yeah.
Mexico or something.
yeah, so it's Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Los Alamos, New Mexico, and Hanford, Washington.
That's kind of funny that they consider it like just one park.
Yeah.
like it's like going to Disney World and you can go to Animal Kingdom and Tomorrowland. just a short 9-hour flight.
Or being like, oh yeah, New Caledonia is like just part of France. Like that's just, like it's like, oh, this is also France, but in the Pacific and not France, and a history of violent, repressive colonial rule. So
Yeah, that would
It
be
is
crazy if somebody did that.
yeah, it's unimaginable. But we have the three-parter Manhattan Project National Park, and I went to the B reactor. You have to get a tour to do this, and they had closed it down because they were going to do renovations. Because you got to renovate your nuclear reactors. But then they opened it back up because I think there were some issues from what I heard with the contractor. Like things just got delayed. And so they opened up some tours in the summer. So I snatched up a tour pass to go see the B reactor in Hanford, Washington. That's where I went this past weekend.
So what exactly is it? What exactly is the B reactor?
The B reactor was the world's first full-scale nuclear reactor. And you might be thinking, well, what were people doing in reacting radioactive material? What was we must have had a noble pursuit, right? Like energy or no. So the B reactor is where we were refining uranium into plutonium, because plutonium would be better for us for making a bomb to drop on Japan. Well, to drop on Nazi Germany was the idea, but once they were out of the picture, it's like, well, you got to drop the bomb on someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the B reactor.
Yeah. And so what I remember you were saying the tour guide had some very like explicit opinions about this.
Well, it was every tour guide there had the same narrative, which is the tried and true, we needed to drop the atomic bomb to save millions of American lives. Millions of Americans would have died if we did not drop the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah. Which just we often are just like ironic on this podcast, and we assume the people listening kind of already agree with us. but just to be explicit on this point, like it has been pretty substantially demonstrated by serious historians that this line that if we hadn't dropped the atomic bomb, if the U.S. hadn't dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, it would have led to this like ground war that would have cost millions of American lives, is completely false. And it's also based in an incredibly like racist conception of the Japanese people as like these like warlike automatons who would never give up under any circumstance and whatnot, right? And so, which is also at a certain point, it's like, well, if that was the case, why not just not take over Japan? Who cares?
Yeah. Like I don't think they were a force to be reckoned with in August of 1945. So it was, what it was really about was two things. One, showing the Soviet Union that we had an atomic bomb, and two, and what happens if we drop this on people? Let's do a little experiment and see what ends up happening. Like, let's be real.
Absolutely.
That's why the bomb was dropped on those two cities.
Yeah. It was the first act of the Cold War in some ways.
Yeah. And I know you don't know a lot about this whole situation, Devin, because you haven't really focused on things like the atomic age and what have you. I probably need to clarify for you. When I say the atomic, I'm talking about sort of the dropping of the bomb. Maybe I might even pinpoint it to like the Trinity project and that explosion as kind of the entering of the nuclear age. Yeah. You wouldn't
know much about that.
You don't know a lot about that, but don't worry, I'm here for you.
Well, that's another important thing, right? It's like we talk about the dropping of the atomic bomb on Japan like as the first dropping of the atomic bomb, right? But the first nuclear explosion was, of course, in New Mexico, and with plutonium from this reactor, right?
From the B reactor, yes.
Yeah, and of course, like we talk about like nuclear tests like they are tests, like, that's the language, like, oh, this is a nuclear test, but a nuclear test just means you are dropping an actual nuclear bomb just in a place that you have decided is like quote unquote desolate, right? Like, so like the New Mexico desert or like the Bikini Atoll, right? And of course, these are places with lots of indigenous people who have been very affected in multiple ways, physically, mentally, spiritually, by these bombs. And so, like, the idea that like a test explosion is not a real explosion, right, is problematic.
Yeah, and I mean the Hanford project was no exception to this. In that, one thing that I learned when I was there is that they just pumped water into the reactor, and hey, there's a Columbia River right there that we could just pump it directly out into after it goes through the reactor. And of course, the Columbia River is a lifeblood of indigenous communities since time immemorial. And so you have, the Yakima tribe and various other indigenous folks who have relied on the Columbia, that have the issue with the Hanford project, that have the issue with the fact that they just threw up a bunch of dams that eventually supplied the power to things like the Hanford project, throughout the 30s and what have you on the Columbia River, and fucked up the salmon population, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And all
but we
these
had
things
to do
are
it,
right? The ecological effects are connected. The warfare effects are connected, right? And one of the real dark aspects of the nuclear bombs dropped by the U.S. military specifically, right, is and like Leslie Marmon Soko writes about this in her novel Ceremony, right? But they were like literally made of indigenous land. If you think about it in a certain way, right? Like the minerals that were mined from indigenous lands were then morphed into this weapon that was then dropped on the Japanese people, right? And maybe we could use this to as a way of like pivoting back to Fallout and thinking maybe a little more critically of it, right?
That's right. That is what this episode's about.
Like I love these games, right? I find them so immersive. I'm really into like atomic age stuff and like the kishiness of it. But also like the vision of Fallout, I think one of the things that can be frustrating about it, if you think about it, allow yourself to think about it too much. So like the catchphrase of Fallout is war never changes, right? And that kind of ontologizes war, almost like it's like this force beyond human control, right? It's just this inevitability that will recur again and again. And I feel like the conversation we've just been having, right, really complicates that by being like, oh, but there's actually all these very specific systems and compulsions tied into why these things happen the way they do.
Yeah, and it made me, as I was at the B reactor, it really made me start thinking about this conversation that we were going to be having this week for Fallout, the video game series / now TV series, where the one host, the one presenter at the B reactor was explaining that he had previously helped build the future reactors that they built at the Hanford site. And he's like, let me be clear. The purpose of those reactors was to enrich uranium into plutonium. It was not power generate. It was not any of these other things. It was to create weapon grade plutonium. And you know what his career was after they shut the final plant down, Devin?
What was that?
He moved into the lucrative career of nuclear waste cleanup. And that's where he got his second career with that. But that to me is like hearing that story that apparently he felt fine with sharing and didn't see any of the issues inherent in like that career change and that career trajectory over time. That is what initially I feel made Fallout as a series so compelling to me, is because it's really talking about this destructive power inherent in the nuclear age that was always kind of lingering. It was kind of hidden in the 90s, this end of history era where we're like, oh, we beat the Soviet Union. Like we're past this. And to me, Fallout, through using this alternative history, was re-energizing this conversation around the catastrophe of nuclear proliferation in a way that it used the science fiction genre to do that in in the early iterations, I think, in a very compelling way.
Yeah. And I think it's like the nuclear question is one that I think is really relevant for the contemporary left, right? Because we can point to a lot of ways in which like U.S. imperial sovereignty is in decline, both due to economic reasons, due to different forms of resistance of various stripes popping up throughout the globe, right? Not saying this is going to happen tomorrow or anything, right? But I think anyone that was looking at like sort of like the long forecast would say that like, we are an empire in decline. We are in our kind of decadent phase, clinging on for dear life in a number of ways, right? But we also have a shit ton of nuclear bombs. And it's a serious problem. It's one thing when you're like, okay, like the British Empire is giving way to the American Empire, right? Earlier in the 20th century. It's another when you're talking about a nuclear state that is ostensibly democratic, but keeps like keeps just having elections that pit like two cartoon characters against each other, two senile cartoon characters against each other, right? And I think like a serious question for the left is like, as the capitalist process, right, continues, and the U.S. perhaps can't maintain its grip as tightly as it would like, but also has like these increasingly degenerate sovereigns in charge of its nuclear arsenal. Like, what does one do about that? That's sort of kind of like the last stop at the end of the imperial chain,
And this is, I'm of two minds with this, because on one hand, you have the classic statement that it's easier to imagine the end of the world than to imagine the end of capitalism. And I feel like the original Fallout is like, okay, yes, I am going to imagine the end of the world, but like, wait until you see what I've imagined. It's going to be totally dope. It's going to get blown away by this. But it's also the questions that you think like um Posadists, the idea that like, well, actually through nuclear war, that's going to present the conditions through which socialism can thrive. And we'll talk a bit about the history of Fallout in a moment here, but to me, it's kind of staking this claim of like, actually the way to achieve a better world is not through destroying everything. Like, you actually need to care about the future of humanity and not seek to achieve socialist revolution through cataclysm.
Yeah. Do you know what we need?
What?
We need great energy for crops and kids.
Devin, that's so true. That's what it's all about.
That's our new slogan. But yeah, so like shifting focus to Fallout a little bit. Like in the series as a whole. Like what do you end up landing on what you think like the kind of like overarching ideology of the series is? Like, is it ultimately being critical of these various kind of like processes and forces we've been talking about just now? Is it kind of engaging in ultimately like sort of like a first world sort of like disaster tourism of an almost like kind of like just macabre engaging in like, oh well, what if the apocalypse hit us when the American Empire is doing apocalypse to people constantly all the time, right? What do you think about that?
So, and this is gonna edge me towards my ultimate Walton Goggins for Fallout the franchise. I don't think there's a singular answer because Fallout has changed over time in terms of who it is that's telling the story and what that story is that's being told. I think that one of the most obvious back and forths that exists in like what is Fallout trying to tell us is between Interplay, Black Isle, and what eventually becomes Obsidian Entertainment. Those people were interested in telling a tale of what would it look like to reform society after the cataclysm of nuclear war. How might we reimagine what society looks like, and what would it look like for us to reckon with that? Bethesda is much more interested in, hey, power armor is cool and the post-apocalyptic wasteland is cool. It's a cool setting. So this must perpetually be the setting into which every single one of our games exists. And
So history can't happen. It has to be an eternal present and eternal end of history, but the end of history is an apocalypse. The end of
history, but the end of history is a post-apocalyptic wasteland. That is the end of history for Bethesda, and so you can't ever do anything with that. And that's why in the Fallout series you have to have the Brotherhood of Steel, even in Fallout 1 you're like, well, these people aren't gonna last. They're gonna collapse in upon themselves because they're a cult that is obsessed with the preservation of technology that must be hoarded and contained through this, autocratic system that they've developed. And so even things like Fallout New Vegas is essentially saying like, hey, look at the new California Republic. Look at how society is developing post-apocalypse. Even the Fallout series is like, okay, we're just going to drop a nuclear bomb literally on the new California Republic to reset us to post-apocalyptic wasteland where you have the Brotherhood of Steel and all these other people. So the Bethesda world cannot have a progression in any sort, whereas this and that's why Fallout New Vegas is kind of the black sheep of the Fallout franchise, because it was the last hurrah of Interplay and Black Isle, which eventually became Obsidian, where they're like, let's do all the things we wanted to say and what our Fallout 3 would have been. Let's just throw that all in there. And Bethesda didn't like that. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this battle between fascists and this burgeoning, new California Republic. Like, we don't care about that. It's about power armor, the Brotherhood of Steel. So I think that's an issue with what is Fallout as a series.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic franchise problem, right? Because it's like Fallout starts as like this innovative game with this something to say, like a film like I don't know, Star Wars.
What?
I hesitate to say that,
Yeah.
but but then once something becomes a commodified as a franchise, in that particular way. Obviously, all movies and games are trying to make money, but like once it becomes the franchise, it's like this needs to last forever, right? The MCU needs to go on forever. Fallout needs to go on forever. And it's like, it's actually kind of, it makes me think of like some of like T's answers to the game, right? Where it would be like, well, if the Fallout series was going to progress, there would be a game that was about building things. There would be a game that was about like running a casino, but it can't. It needs war to never change, and it needs war to reassert itself again and again.
And it's so fascinating because when you look at the creation of the original Fallout, the original Fallout was essentially the people behind Interplay doing this game in their off time. They were doing it as a like kind of project of love, where they're like, what would a good game look like if we could just make it from the ground up? But then, of course, it becomes a huge success, and then it becomes just part of this intellectual property of Interplay, where we need to constantly push out Fallout games, and we need to attend to the Fallout IP. And so it's to me, you lose some of the value of like how you even got Fallout in the first place. How you even got Fallout in the first place degrades through the commodification of Fallout as a franchise.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And I've never played those original Fallout games, as I mentioned, but I remember back in college, you gave me like pirated copies of them, and I like by the time I got around to trying to play them,
legally obtained.
Sorry, by pirate I mean you just had a parrot on your shoulder when you gave them to me.
Yes, of course.
But by the time I went to play them, they weren't working in like my OS anymore. But it looks like they're both on. You can get either Fallout or Fallout 2 on Steam now for $9.99. Not that we're sponsored by fucking Steam, but they've also got you might as well get the Fallout Classic Collection. You get Fallout Tactics as well for $19.99. So it's basically free. But I'm like, man, I gotta go. I was thinking I was gonna get Fallout 4. Because like I've been getting the itch, but I think what I'm going to do instead is get Fallout 1 and 2.
Man, I'm all about it. And the thing that having gone back and played Fallout 1 is you leave the vault and immediately there are 1,000 ways that you can and will die. Like it is relentless in that it's very much open world. I remember one of my first playthroughs back in the 90s. What I did was when I left my vault, you're supposed to head to the east, which is where you've been given the location of Vault 15. I was like, well, fuck that. I'm going to go this other direction, which leads you to the abandoned military base where the super mutants are being created. And I just immediately was nerfed by that. Like it's very close to your starting location. And so that's the classic that one thing I'd love to talk a bit about is Fallout, the original game was... The tagline was that it was a post-nuclear role-playing game. And the role-playing aspect was such an integral part of what that game was. I talked about how that was, I talked about that earlier with the turn-based aspect of it. But what you have seen over time, even leading into Fallout 4, one of the big critiques with Fallout 4 was the player reactions to any NPC is like, yes, no, we shouldn't do that, because they insisted that the character have a full voice to them. So they recorded voice lines for every response, which meant that it wasn't this evolution of the text-based RPG where you have these long conversations, because they wanted to voice every response you would give. And then you build that towards Fallout 76, where Bethesda was essentially saying, there will be no NPCs. One of their big things they thought was going to happen is they said, well, people will become store owners and they'll interact with you about selling and buying things. They thought
the classic
like,
mistake every MMO makes.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
every MMO has all these lofty expectations, and then a week in, it's like everyone is like a fucking power user 99 level and has broken the game, and then you start at like level 1 and you're like, wow, so much to explore. Then everyone's like, hurry up, why aren't you min-maxing? Like,
yeah. So they eventually added NPCs and all that shit, but it was that to me is the Bethesdification of Fallout.
all right, so we already had Mike and T give out their Goggins. And they gave it out to the show specifically. But I think we're going to do it a little differently. And we're going to hand out our Goggins to the Fallout franchise as a whole. So this includes games, show, however you want to weigh it in the direction of any of those. Ethan, what kind of Goggins are you giving out to Fallout?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that, first off, I'll say that I'm going to give this, I'm going to give Fallout, the series overall, I'm going to give it 7.5 Goggins out of 10. Because I still have a lot, even going back and playing Fallout 1, I'm really enjoying it. So you can still get something out of the Fallout series even in 2024, and that's saying something. So 7.5 Goggins out of 10. However, which Goggins am I talking about? Let's be clear. This is the Walton Goggins from Ant-Man and the Wasp. This is Walton Goggins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, like, I don't even remember he was in that. Yeah. So this came out in 2018. This was kind of the height of the MCU universe, cinematic universe, sort of preeminence over everything. And people were riding high. They're like, okay, some of these are duds, but this is the future. We're going to get 8 or 9 of these movies a year. It's going to be fantastic. But there's trouble on the horizon. This is not going to sustain itself. And eventually people are going to see that this is this commodification of the IP. It's this degradation of what the franchise actually is. So even the Fallout TV series, which I really enjoyed, I see that trouble on the horizon, that it's this, okay, it's an end of history of, we're always going to have the desert wasteland with the Brotherhood of Steel versus the New California Republic. Like, nothing's going to ever progress, and the Vault Dwellers are always going to be popping out every time we need a new series. That's the Bethesdification versus Black Isle and Obsidian, who were about, the series should be about our progression of going beyond the end of the world and what it would look like to recreate human society. So that's why it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, because it's this foretelling of bad things are to come. Let me assure you. So that's what I'm going to give it. 7.5 out of 10 Walton Goggins, but it is Walton Goggins from Ant-Man and the Wasp. So be aware. And also, I guess maybe also Walton Goggins didn't really play a huge part in that film, in the way that the Ghoul character didn't play as quite a critical role as I thought he was gonna from everything I was hearing. And he's like, oh, he just like shows up and kills. I liked his the flashbacks much more than the actual Ghoul.
Yeah, well, it almost feels like he's in the present so he can do the flashbacks, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about you, Devin?
Yeah, so, like I said, I loved those games, right? And especially from a design standpoint, like those open world 3D Fallout games. But I was also like, I was young, I was politically naive then, as opposed to now where I'm old and politically naive. So I think this discussion has been convincing to me in terms of clarifying what are sort of like some of the ideological problems of the direction this franchise has gone. And I think when I was talking earlier about my fear that the liberal shoe is going to drop in the Fallout TV series, as much as I enjoyed it, this is exactly the kind of tendencies I'm talking about. And when I point this out, I don't mean to be taking any particular creators to task so much as thinking about the fact that we live in a world that necessitates that our art tends in this direction. If it's going to be part of the machinery that dispenses that same art, right? Like, and especially when you're talking about science fiction that is visual in any way, games, movies, right? It's expensive. You know, there's not an easy way around it. So I'm not trying to just like I'm not trying to put this on Jonathan Nolan's doorstep so much as I'm trying to think of like how it makes us think about the need to be actualizing a world in which art doesn't have to be this way, right?
Yeah.
But so with all that in mind, I'm giving it 2 Walton Goggins and 2 very specific Walton Goggins. Because I think that Fallout as a franchise overall is sort of this dual face thing. The bad news is that war never changes, right? We are always going to be living in just this recursive loop of devastation, death, misery. But the good news is you get to fuck around in that sandbox forever, right? we're going to nuke everything into a desert, but that desert is your playground.
Yeah.
And so thus the 2 Walton Goggins I'm giving Fallout are the 2 characters who are also the same character he plays in Fallout the series. Cooper Howard and the Ghoul. Right? So with Cooper Howard, we get those, not like a fucking, you know, it's not like it was third cinema being projected in like, you know, South American villages, but that glimmer of socialism, right? His flirtations with the communists, his skepticism of vault tech, right? That's the Fallout 1, the Fallout 2, the sort of like, could we be doing things differently? Maybe it's not too late, right? And then the Ghoul is the flip side of that. It was too late. It's always too late. So the best thing you can do is be an individual, look out for number 1, and get money for more vials. But perhaps, you know, maybe there's a hope that we can, as a society, synthesize these 2 Walton Goggins into the Walton Goggins who just wants to find his family.
Devin, that is so disrespectful because, as we all know, we need if we didn't have the Fallout series seasons 1 through 7, we would have like millions of Walton Gogginses would die. Do you understand this? So I think that your aspirations that there could be a world of the ideal Walton Goggins is so naive and so disrespectful to the millions of Walton Goggins that could have died if we had not had the Amazon Prime series Fallout seasons 1 through 7.
I don't know what it is about Walton Goggins that brings out these particularly surreal images from us. Because do you remember when we talked about, like, what if it was the end of the Prestige, but it's just Walton Goggins? And it's like this shot of like all of these dead Walton Goggins in water vats, right? Like Walton Goggins has been killing himself every day while he does his magic act. Likewise, the vision of, 7 million Walton Goggins being gunned down in their prime because Truman was a coward.
It's also, it brings me back to one of my favorite tweets that I'm going to have to mention now, since we're probably not going to return to Walton Goggins in the near future, which is how it's so fucking crazy that a nurse was like, "Oh, what's your baby's name?" And they said, "Walton Goggins." So shouts out to our boy Goggins, because I'm glad we got to bring him back for one last rodeo.
Absolutely. He's the man. Thank you, Walton Goggins. Thank you, Ethan. And thank you for listening to You're Tall, But I'm Standing in Front of You.
Also, thank you, Michael and T.
Oh, of course.
You
yeah,
remember they were on here earlier?
Yeah, I actually completely forgot. We've never had guests leave midway through an episode before.
Props and kids.
So thank you to Mike, Opal, and T. Thuman, our good friends. You're welcome back anytime. And listeners, find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the podcast app of your choice, not Google Podcasts, who have emailed us to say they don't exist anymore. And do give us a 5-star rating. You can follow us on Twitter at YourTallPod, follow Ethan at Mathisipi, or follow me at Stale Cooper. Thank you for giving me my face back, by the way. We didn't really talk about that in the episode, but I did appreciate it.
We're gonna the top surgeons in DC took care of it. Don't worry.
So, if you have thoughts about what you'd like us to talk about next, DM us on Twitter or email us at yourtallpod@gmail.com. Everybody, great energy for crops and kids.